Hi and hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss about IELTS listening module, the different types of questions and tips to crack the IELTS listening module. Okay, let's have an idea about listening. What is really IELTS listening is meant for? Are you simply going to listen and answer? Or is it like X and Y listening? No, absolutely not. It's going to be specific, it is going to be very detailed, and it is going to be checking your listening ability and your production. That's where the check is. So let's move on to the next slide and discuss about it. See, IELTS listening is one of the very easiest modules, but you need to prepare yourself very well and you need to actually go through a lot of listening in order to understand how many parts are there, what are the accents used, how the questions are used. So it is important that you just have an idea, at least do some 20 or 25 tests before you appear for the IELTS real-time exam. Okay, right. Number one, listening. IELTS listening tip starts knowing about the exam pattern. So it is important to know the pattern first. Then the different question types and how the scoring or marking is done. So these are the ideas you have to collect before getting ready for IELTS listening. And the IELTS listening section becomes difficult as it progresses. See, there are 2-3 parts. The first part will be actually very easy. The second part is little difficult. And the third part is more difficult than the second one. The fourth part is completely very difficult like that. So you need to know about it. Part 1 is the easiest, whereas part 4 is the hardest. So the concentration is one of the most required thing in IELTS listening. So strategies, since the recording will be played once, so you need to be aware that how well are you listening. And solving numerous IELTS listening practice papers is another helpful strategy. That is what in the beginning of the video itself I told you, that it is very important to go ahead of so many listenings as many as possible, so that you will get an idea about all these things. Let's move on to the next slide. It talks everything in detail, what are the parts and how the questions are asked, all that. See, before beginning with IELTS listening tips and tricks, know about IELTS listening syllabus. That is very important. So it is here. It comprises of four parts. Okay, the total estimated time is 40 minutes, including the 10 minutes of answering. So the listening will be there for 30 minutes. There are 4 parts. Part 1 is an informal dialogue in a social context. There will be 2 speakers, maybe like booking a ticket or solving a problem with a customer care, or going to a hotel and booking a hotel, or ordering something. It is not very formal. It's a very casual talk where 2 people will be talking. So you may have to fill in the blank then and there, names, numbers, prices, whatever it may be, things, all that. And part 2 is a monologue in a social context. See, monologue is a single person talking. So it is also about social context. There's one speaker who will be speaking about some topics, okay, common topics. Okay, they may be talking about a tourist place, they may be talking about a product. It's not so academic, it's very social. Anybody can answer. Then part 3 is all about education and training. This is where a kind of an academic stuff will come, because it's all about education. There will be some students and the professor talking to each other, selecting a subject or selecting uh, an area for research or something like that. They will be talking one to one, right, to one another. So you may have to answer the questions while you listen. For part 4 is academic context. It's not so difficult. Anybody can understand academic in the sense that it is related to something which is technical, right? Something about technology, a growth of technology or use of technology or medical sciences, anything it could be. There would be one speaker, he would be going on speaking. One more thing you have to understand, when 2 or 4 people speaking in part 4, there may be different accents. So you need to be aware what accent someone is speaking or remember the names of people. Right. So it is important to understand all these things. So it will be very helpful as well. Okay. Right. We'll move on to the next slide. The total test time allotted is 40 minutes, as I've already told you. 30 minutes of listening and 10 minutes to write down your answers from the test sheet into the answer sheet. See, you may be writing in the test sheet, so you may have to write it in the answer sheet separately. That is why they give 10 minutes. And note, there's no requirement to go through any subject specifically. All answers you need will be provided in the recording itself. See, it means you cannot simply read something or study something, prepare something, go and answer. This is not like a very common day-to-day life examination. Here you may have to listen to the audio and answer it. It's the answers are there in the audio. So you may have to listen carefully for that. So that is very important as well. We are moving on to the next slide. See, general IELTS listening tips. These are the following. The following are a few of IELTS listening MCQ tips. You will MCQ, multiple choice questions. Number 1, you will only listen to the recording once. Any recording it is only once. Therefore, listening very carefully will definitely help you. And it is important that you practice interesting topics then and there, day-to-day life, social context, anything it could be. That's very important. Listen to audio scripts for better practice. See, if you want to improve your listening skills, you can go listen to some audio scripts. That will give you a lot of practice. Number 3 is learn new synonyms every day. Why do I specifically tell you learn synonyms? Because it's important to know that they don't give you the exact phrases which are given in the IELTS question paper and listening. So you need to know, for example, Mr. Satish Kumar is a famous writer. They'll be writing, okay, well-known writer. Well-known is a synonym for famous. In such a way, the answers could be tricked. So you need to find out some of the words, look at the keywords underlined before you just listen to the audio, so that it will be very helpful to locate the synonym. Before the recording is played, the candidate will be given, or the candidates will be given some time to read the questions. And whenever you are given time, you should read the questions very carefully, because you will get to hear the recording only once. That's why I've been telling you, you may have to read the question. If you are just simply whiling away the time while you are given time to actually read the question, and when the recording is played, you may not be able to come across or catch up all those words. So it's important that you actually do this. And number 5, The time allotted to write your answers is just 10 minutes. Therefore, write your answers simultaneously on the test booklet as you hear the recordings, and then transfer them at the end of the listening test. So, yeah, I have 10 minutes time. So what's the problem? I'll write it later. You are not a born genius. Any born genius, it could be. They'll not be able to keep it in mind for all the questions because there will be around 40 questions. So it's not possible, right? Am I right? So it is always important to make a note of it, write the keywords or write the answers in the fill in the blank, wherever the answer in the text, text booklet is given, write it so that it will be easy when you transfer all those answers. We are moving on to the next slide. First and foremost, do not panic if you don't understand everything you hear. Listen to the keywords from the questions and focus on what you heard or what you're hearing. So it's important. If you don't know anything, you don't get panic. Okay, if you get panicked, what happens is that you will not be able to concentrate. You will be revolving around a particular question, but the listening script would be moving and moving like anything. So it's not ideal to do that. Don't hover over a specific questions because you may miss the answer to the next question. If you don't know an answer for a particular question, leave it. Move on to the next question so that it is easy. And make sure you follow the instructions, word count in the instructions of each question. If the question wants one word answer, then follow that. Because IELTS tells you not answer not more than one words, answer not more than two words, answer not more than three words. They don't ask more than three words. Okay, so it's you when you just read the task, it will be given no more than two words. It means the answer is within two words, maybe one or two words. It could be. It is not necessary that all the answers should be two words. So it's important. All right, so you may have to follow the task. There's no negative marking for your wrong answers. If you write something wrong, no problem, absolutely. It is not going to be given mark. That's it. So there is no negative marking. You don't have to worry about it. Let's move on to the next slide. See, there are some tips, all right, I want to give you as well. Let's start learning about IELTS listening tips for Band 9 with the mandatory points. There are 4 fundamental IELTS listening test tips that every candidate needs to focus on. Number 1 is grammar. So incorrect grammar will have negative marking. Negative marking in the sense your answering will be wrong. So be very careful with the things like plural nouns, singular nouns, tenses, verbs, for example, names of countries, cities, okay, must be in capital letters. So you may have to use it wisely. Sometimes when they talk about women, you cannot write woman, WMOWOMAN. Right, it's wrong. Women, WOMEN. So it's all about that. So it is very important. Right, so you need to follow that as well. That will actually reduce your marks. For example, USA, you cannot write USA in small letters, or writing U in the capital and other SA in small letters is wrong, because the USA or the UK, both these countries are to be written in capital. Right, so it is very important. The spelling, incorrect spelling will be marked as wrong answer. So you have to be very careful while writing the answers. If you write one or two letters wrong, yes, you may try to claim saying that I wrote only one word, one letter wrong in a word. That's anyhow wrong. Wrong is wrong. That's it. So you don't get mark for that. Handwriting. Only visible, acceptable handwriting is accepted. Therefore, ensure that your handwriting is proper. Right. So it's very important to know that. Use all capital. If you think you will mess up while rushing to catch up time, when it is better to write your answers in capitals. In that case, you will not lose marks. There is a difference between reading and writing. In reading, you may not be able to write all the answers in capital, but in listening, you may try to write all those in capital letters. So that will not actually reduce your mark. And let's move on to the next idea. So what are the different types of questions? So in part one, as I told you earlier, two people will be talking to each other, customer and so numbers, dates, price, some words, names of places, countries, train number, booking number, passport number, such could be asked. And sometimes locating a map, you are given a map in that and you will be asked to using prepositions of place, okay, prepositions of movement, such as they will give you. For example, there is a map of a room, and as you enter, there is a door. On your right side, fill in the blank. On your right, there is a hall. Right opposite to the hall, it means on your left, it is exactly. There is a library. So the answer is library. The numbers will be there. You may have to fill it up. And the next one is actually matching. Sometimes you may have to match from the points. And the other ones are multiple choice questions. So you may have to actually look into the listening. If you are simply listening to me, will you be able to go simply crack the examination successfully? No, absolutely not possible. I strongly recommend and suggest you all go and do as many listenings as possible at a stretch. Take out the piece of paper, go to YouTube, type IELTS listening. There will be n number of listenings, okay, with date wise. You can just on that keep it in full screen mode, write numbers from 1 to 40, simply click on the audio. You hear, put your headphone on. As you hear, answer. The questions will be displayed at the end of the video. They will also show you the answers, so you can check how many you are able to score. For example, if you are able to score somewhere 20 in your first attempt, you have ways to go. You are good at listening actually, because without understanding anything about the listening module, you are able to do well. So thank you very much and all the best for everyone. Listening needs practice. Thank you very much.